We're putting out feelers. We need Sunday school teachers. If you know anybody, please contact the office. And Noisy Old Men have started a series called Chosen. If you are interested, please contact Casper. The upstairs classrooms are looking for curtain rods. If anybody has any spare 2-meter curtain rods, they'll be gratefully accepted. Today, Casper turns the big €6 tomorrow. So today there's a lunch at 1 o'clock. Everybody is welcome. We'll say that blow the peace candle. Jesus Christ, light of the world, you shine upon us. Jesus Christ, light of the world, the darkness has never overcome you. Jesus Christ, light of the world, may your kingdom come. May your will be done in Africa as it is done in heaven.
faithful, a friend whose love is never ending. We adore you, our God. We offer you our lives to you, and will praise you in all of our moments. Use us to be faithful ambassadors for Jesus Christ, and help us lead others to know who Jesus is. Lord, we offer our all to you, especially our love, Lord. We offer our all, and we want to serve you with gladness. Help us to listen with the guidance of the Holy Spirit, and lead us on the right path as we journey through life. You, God, are our shield and our strong deliverer. You supply all our needs, and we will always praise you. We will shout with joy and lift our hands as we worship you. Thank you for your forgiveness through your Son, Jesus Christ. Thank you, Lord, for giving us the wonderful prayer that Jesus taught his disciples as he said, Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, power, and glory, forever and ever. Amen. We'll now take up the offerings. Thank you, Lord, for the offerings that you enable us to do. Thank you for the abundance of things that you give to us. And Lord, this is one small way that we can return something to say thank you for what you do for us. We ask you to bless this, and let's just help it to extend your kingdom in whichever way you require it to be done. And so we thank you, Lord. And we ask all this in Jesus' wonderful name. Amen. Amen. First reading is from Ezekiel Ezekiel chapter 37, verses 1 to 14. Valley of Dry Bones. I felt the powerful presence of the Lord, and his Spirit took me and set me down in a valley where the ground was covered with bones. He led me all round the valley, and I could see that there were very many bones, and that they were very dry. He said to me, "Mortal man, can these bones come back to life?" I replied, "Sovereign Lord, only you can answer that." He said, "Prophesy to the bones. Tell these dry bones to listen to the word of the Lord. Tell them that I, the Sovereign Lord, am saying to them, I am going to put breath into you and bring you back to life. I will give you sinews and muscles and cover you with skin. I will put breath into you and bring you back to life. Then you will know that I am the Lord." So I prophesied as I had been told. While I was speaking, I heard a rattling noise, and the bones began to join together. While I watched, the bones were covered with sinews and muscles, and then with skin, but there was no breath in the bodies. God said to me, "Mortal man, prophesy to the wind. Tell the wind that the Sovereign Lord commands it to come from every direction, to breathe into these dead bodies and to bring them back to life." So I prophesied as I had been told. Breath entered the bodies, and they came to life and stood up. There were enough of them to form an army. God said to me, "Mortal man, the people of Israel are like these bones. They say that they are dried up without any hope and with no future. So prophesy to my people Israel, and tell them that I, the Sovereign Lord, am going to open their graves. I am going to take them out and bring them back to the land of Israel. When I open the graves where my people are buried and bring them out, they will know that I am the Lord. I will put my breath in them, bring them back to life, and let them live in their own land. Then they will know that I am the Lord. I have promised that I will do this, and I will. I, the Lord, have spoken." The second reading is from Romans 12, verses 9 to 12. Life in God's service. Love must be completely sincere. Hate what is evil, hold on to what is good. Love one another warmly as Christian brothers, and be eager to show respect for one another. Work hard and do not be lazy. Serve the Lord with a heart full of devotion. Let your hope keep you joyful. Be patient in your thoughts and pray at all times. This is the word of the Lord. Thanks be to God.
Now ask Kerry to come up and do the presentation and reach for it.
Good morning, everyone. Can you all hear me? Because the mic is way too short for that podium. I just want to say thank you so much for having me this morning. I really do appreciate it. I feel blessed and privileged to come and speak about the foundation that is so close to my heart. And I feel blessed because it's a foundation where I feel God has placed me to make a difference. So this morning I want to share with you about the Reach for a Dream Foundation and what we are calling our journey of hope, because we believe in the power of hope at the foundation. So just going to go through this PowerPoint presentation so you can just a little bit about the foundation that people don't know. We've been going for 34 years. Next year we will celebrate 35. So it's slightly younger than me and slightly younger than some of you sitting in the audience. For those of you who don't know, our whole goal and our whole purpose at the foundation is to inspire hope through the power of a dream for children between the ages of 3 and 18 that have a life-threatening illness. What's the misconception with the foundation is that we deal only with cancer. That's not true. We have about 110 illnesses on our list, and it must be considered as life-threatening. So we do muscular dystrophy, we do liver, heart conditions, obviously all your oncology. So there is a lot illnesses. We have helped over 20,000 children across South Africa in our 34 years of existence. Okay, that is wonderful, but it is also sad, because that's how many children have needed the foundation. There's some interesting facts about the foundation. In 2005, we broke the Guinness World Record for the longest birthday cake, because we like to have a little bit of fun at the foundation. On Nelson Mandela's 90th birthday, we fulfilled 90 dreams in celebration of his birthday. Last year, in 2021, we broke another Guinness World Record for the most people cooking online in our Cooking for Dreams. That was an interesting concept. And then this year, we became South Africa's premium charity. So we were voted the #1 charity in South Africa this year. So for us, that was a huge privilege, and it was just our way of saying what we do matters to the children we work with. So we dedicated that award to people who support us, but most importantly to the children that we serve. Why dreams? Lots of people always ask us why dreams, and it's simple: hope. Hope allows us to receive something and allows us to take steps forward. So we had a man who came out in 2019. He was a doctor from the States, and he's written a book called The Anatomy of Hope. And he's been an oncologist for about 30 years. And he spoke on carte blanche about hope and the power of hope and what that brings. And when we don't have hope and what that brings. And he spoke about how he's diagnosed plenty of cancer patients, and he says some cancer patients, he gives them a good diagnosis. He says, look, we've caught it early. If we treat it, you will survive. And he says, but the patient doesn't believe, there's no hope, and they pass away. Then he says he's given diagnoses where he says, look, we're going to make you comfortable, there's nothing more we can do. And he says the patient has this belief and this hope that actually I'm not going to accept that diagnosis, I'm going to believe in the impossible. And he says those patients survive. And so what Reach for a Dream does is we come and we say, we are going to make the impossible possible. So whatever you hope for, whatever you dream for, we're going to make it possible. So what that does in a little child's mind is they have been given this impossible thing to overcome, but in steps these people who says, no, we're going to give you something impossible, we're going to make it possible, and they start to believe. If I can travel overseas to Disney World, if I can meet, David Beckham or the Beast, or if I can go to the beach for the first time that I didn't think was possible, then I can overcome my diagnosis. And so the power of hope, we know in life. In 2020, hope was stripped from a lot of us. We were locked inside, we were put away, and we kind of thought, well, what does tomorrow bring? But when there's hope, we are able to get up and move forward. And so hope is very important for us at the foundation. We believe in inspiring hope through the power of a dream. Because dreams are vital and important. And especially for children who might not have a future to have a dream come true. So that's why we do what we do. Some interesting facts just about the world in which we work with. Obviously we work with a lot of government hospitals and a lot of government facilities. So just obviously the statistics in South Africa aren't accurate. You don't need to know why, because we all know why. So in the world there's 165,000 new cases of children diagnosed with cancer between the ages of 14. Under 14. There's 85,000 new cases between 14 and 19 years of age. So that's every year. That's just cancer. Like I said, we deal with much more than that. I did a workshop with St. Jude's last year. That is a children's cancer hospital in the States. And they say in South Africa, the leading cause of death in children, it's not HIV, it's not TB, it's cancer. However, South African government says it belongs number 10 on our 1 to 10 important illnesses. So something that is killing our children at the rate of knots does not sit high on the government's agenda. Okay? We can't change that. Less than half of the children diagnosed with cancer are diagnosed incorrectly. So they'll first be diagnosed with TB, they'll first be diagnosed with HIV, they'll be diagnosed with something, and and then by the time they are correctly diagnosed, it's too late. In South Africa, again, we can't get to the popular government hospitals, so in KZN, it is Grace and Albert Katuli. Those are your main referring hospitals where children will be correctly diagnosed. What happens is they sit in another hospital for about 6 to 7 months before they're sent to a hospital where they can do the right tests. Okay? Childhood cancer is very different to adult cancer. That's why you have to have specialist pediatric oncologists. In KZN, we've got exactly 3. Okay? So that is someone who knows children and who knows the cancer and knows how the two work together. Because there are different forms of cancer that are seen in children. In South Africa right now, in KZN, we have got 600 frozen pharmaceutical posts. So our private oncologists mix their own oncology, their own chemotherapy in a room. That's the state of what we are dealing with. Okay? Thing is, we can't change that. I can't fix that. But what we can do is bring some hope and some light. So dream fulfillment, how it works in the foundation. Like I said, we work with government and private sectors. So we are the only charity that doesn't look at what colour skin you have, what demographic you come out of, if you're rich and poor. All if we look at, do you have a life-threatening illness? Why? Because it doesn't matter how much money you have, cancer is going to knock on your door, or a heart condition or a liver condition. I mean, Michael Bublé, he's got lots of money, and his kid had cancer. So we say, we don't look at that, we look at your illness and what can we do. So we get children referred to us by the doctors, nurses, social workers, also through private sector. And then our assessors go out. So you'll see our assessors are in the hospitals all the time, and we have a conversation with the child. Not a list of questions, but we have a conversation. What do you like? What don't you like? What do you want to be? What do you dream of? What do you hope for? And we start to have this conversation, and you start to peel the layers of this beautiful child. And you start to find out what it is they hope for, what it is they dream for, what it is they want to become, and from there you garnish their dreams. So from there we'll pick up their top 3 or 4 dreams. Obviously we make sure it is conducive to their health. So we won't go bungee jumping with our dreamers. We won't give a bicycle if they've got a heart condition. So we rely a lot on our doctors for guidance in those areas. And from there we take their 3 dreams and then we decide on which we feel is their most pertinent dream, and we make that come true. So we fulfill 6 dreams every day across South Africa. So that's a lot of children, it's a lot of dreams. Dreams can fall into different categories, so some are more exciting than others, but the impact remains the same. So they can fall into the meet someone category, so you can see there. We had a child who's met Chad Chloe, actually spent a couple of hours in the pool training her and guiding her through the swimming process. We've had a dreamer who's travelled to meet Lewis Hamilton, spent the day in the cockpit with him. We've had a dreamer who's had breakfast with Patrick Lambie in the Sharks changing room. So our dreamers want to meet people. We also have children who like to travel. So us being in Durban, a lot of children want to come from Joburg or from the Free State, and they want to go to the beach, they want to touch a dolphin. We've had children shop in Paris, we've had children go to Disneyland and Lego World. So we have children who want to travel. We have to be or to have an experience. So whether a child wants to be a lawyer, a doctor. So we had a little boy who wanted to be a policeman. And so we put the dream together where he could be a policeman. So he spent the day with the police. He got to arrest someone. You obviously want to. He got to lock someone up. So he got to become and at the end of the day they made him an honorary policeman. When he passed, they gave him an official police burial with the cars lined up, the sirens. Why? Because he became a policeman. And that's what we do. Then you have the 2 halves. So in South Africa we deal with a lot of rural children who have nothing and they want something. But we don't just hand it over to them. We say, well, how can we make it special? How can we make it unique? And we kind of think of ways in which we can hand these things over. So I had a young boy, his first dream was to meet Bill Gates. I thought that was quite radical. And we had set that up, and then he got too sick to travel. So he called me back and he says, no, he can't travel, we can't get him to Bill Gates. So he says, no, he wants a drone. So for about an hour he explained how this drone will work and what he'll do with it. And he wanted the most expensive drone on the market. And I said to him, look, we'll do our best, but I can't make any promises because it's super expensive. So a couple of months later, he was out of isolation, and we invited him down to the beach, and I was standing with him, and I said to him, look, I am so sorry. We couldn't. We just couldn't find the drone. We couldn't afford it. I said, but come with me. I've got a surprise for you. As we walked down onto the Umhlanga promenade, off the ocean flew this drone and flew towards him and said, do you believe in the power of dreams? And his face when he saw this drone, and it's not the product, it's the symbol behind the product. And he looked at me and he says, is this really mine? And I said, Joe, that's what you dreamed of, and that's what we make come true. We had another boy who, we don't like to say no to children, so he wanted a Tyrannosaurus Rex. So now in my mind, I know those things don't exist, So I say to him, okay, that is such a super cool dream. So he says, no, it really is. I said, well, how big is your garden? No, it's a little small, he tells me. So I said, do you have a dog? He goes, yeah, he's got a dog. So I'm like, it might eat your dog. So we might have a problem, because they eat lots of meat, and the first thing to go will be your dog. And does your dad have enough money to feed this Tyrannosaurus Rex? So you can see the wheels were turning. So we're not squashing the dream. We're just guiding him on a different path. And so then he decided, no, he wanted to be a movie director. And so, I don't know if you remember, a couple of years ago, quite a while back, they shot the movie in Cape Town called Safe House with Ryan Reynolds and Denzel Washington. Our little dreamer was the movie director for that movie. He spent the day on set with the actors. He had his own director's chair. And the only thing we couldn't do for him was allow him to watch the movie because he was underage. But that little boy got to do something that none of us will ever do, in our adult form. So dreams are very powerful, and they take different forms, and each dream is dependent on the child. Some can be as simple as an ice cream because they've never tasted one. Some can be as simple as a box of Kellogg's because they saw it on TV in the hospital. And then some can be as lavish as going overseas or meeting a celebrity. But the power of the dream remains the same. If I've never tasted an ice cream, and I look at someone who's had one and I've never had one, and the opportunity to have one will never come across my path again, and it comes across my path, that impact is the same as the impact of the kid who gets on a plane and travels overseas. Why? Because I've got something that was impossible has been made possible. And if that's possible, then anything is possible. Then I can have a future, I can have a dream, I can have a hope, and I can have a life. Yep. For the foundation, dreams cost about 5,000 Rand. We just average it out, and Reach for a Dream in 2022 is aiming to fulfill 1,800 dreams. Okay, that's a lot of dreams, and that's a lot of children in need. Okay? We also, this video will play in the back there, but obviously like everybody else, the foundation was impacted by COVID. I know we all don't like talking about COVID anymore, but we prided ourselves in making sure that we didn't change who we were, so we didn't become a feeding scheme or a COVID outreach. We stuck to who we were. Okay, so for the first 4 weeks when everybody was hard locked down, we were making sure our families were okay, because a lot of our parents, the kids were still in hospitals, so kids were having brain surgery, parents were sleeping in their cars, so we made sure our families were okay. And then the moment the president said you could go on to level 4, myself and Jenny, who's sitting in the audience, packed 60 dreams and we sent them out via DHL. We wanted our children to know that dreams are still possible. Dreams cannot be locked down, and your voices will not be drowned out by COVID. So we made sure we came up with the Dream Box concept during the COVID, times because we couldn't go into hospitals, we couldn't physically take our children out, and so we brought the dreams to them. So for a lot of kids living in a very rural area, they would never have seen a DHL van arrive in their lives. Now it arrives with this massive box with layers of treasures and surprises, and at the bottom was their dream. And so what it did was it told them that no matter where they were, we were thinking about them, we remembered them, and they were still special. We had a little boy who lost both his parents in COVID. And in the heart of that, out in the rurals, a bicycle arrived. And his words to us were, somebody remembered me. Somebody remembered me. And that's what it was. In the heart of all of that chaos, somebody remembered him. So we delivered dreams to hospitals, to children out in the rurals, and you can see by their faces the impact of those dream boxes. Obviously, we are very fortunate that COVID has lifted its ugly head, and we can now proceed back into the hospitals, back into what we love to do, and make more magical moments happen. So what we also did in the heart of COVID is we launched our virtual reality. So this is one of the reasons why we became the #1 charity, because we decided, well, I can't take the child to the beach, but I can bring the beach to our dreamers. And so through virtual reality, we could take them swimming with the dolphins, we could take them to Disneyland, we could take them wherever we wanted through the power of the VR experience. And so we did a dream for a little girl who was paralyzed from the waist down, and the doctor was like, we're going to switch off all the support keeping her alive at the end of the week. So we knew we couldn't take her anywhere. She wasn't in a place to go anywhere. So we put on the virtual reality, and for 7 minutes, she was free. She was swimming with the dolphins. And she couldn't obviously move her hands and legs, but her face, in that space of time, she was free from the confines of her paralyzed body. And needless to say, everybody in the room cried. But for 7 minutes, that little girl was free. And that's what we were able to do through the power of VR. We also took our virtual reality into the hospitals where it's called the pain clinic, and they call it that for a reason, because you've got 4 nurses pinning down children to draw blood, to put chemo ports in. And so we took our virtual reality and we said, we're going to change a negative and spin it into a positive. And this little girl who normally takes 5 nurses to pin her down to draw her blood, we put the virtual reality on, and the nurse happily drew the blood, and with her free hand, she was swimming away with the dolphin. And so what we did was we took this negative experience that they've got to come weekly for bloods and for chemo, and we said we're going to make it a positive experience. Swim with the dolphins, go to Disney World, play with puppies. And so through the virtual reality, we've been able to bring this hope and this fun and laughter and these experiences into the hospital environment. If you go into hospitals, they're not fun. Go into a government hospital, it's even less fun. So what we also did was in 2018, on our 50th birthday, we launched Dream Rooms. Okay, and what we found is during COVID, hospitals were phoning us to come and do these. So what it is, it's a creative space within the hospital. So, like I said, government hospitals, children sit at a bed. If they're lucky, there might be a TV in the hospital that they're in. But that's all they get. Okay, the walls are dark, dreary. It is not a fun place. In some of our hospitals, actual monkeys run through the walls. That is the reality of our government facilities. Some of our children spend 7 to 8 months in hospital. And so they don't go to school, they don't see loved ones, there's no fun. And so we decided, let's create some fun. Let's create a safe space for them to be in. And so we to date have built 20 hospitals across 20 dream rooms in hospitals across South Africa. It costs us almost R500,000 per room. And what we do is we take a space in the hospital, preferably in the children's wards, and we create a magical space in which our children can play, they can learn, they can receive dreams, and they can have fun. So we broke ground 2 weeks ago at Albert Lutuli, and we are building an inside and outside space. So you'll see up at the top left is what the room currently looks like, and then on your top right what it will look like when we are done. There will be a climbing wall, there will be a ball pit, there will be books and reading materials and games. We partnered with Toys R Us, who are putting in all the products into the rooms. We partnered with world-renowned architects who are designing these creative spaces. We've chatted a lot with the doctors, the physios, the dietitians, to make sure that how we're designing it is conducive to health and conducive to learning and rehabilitation. And so we broke ground there, so we're currently building at Albert Lutuli, King Edward, hopefully Grace, and I am building one in Bloemfontein in Universitas Hospital as well. So our goal is to make sure that we have got a dream room in every government facility across South Africa for our children to have some safe, creative spaces. How we make money in the foundation, so we're a non-profit. We run various fundraisers. So I'm sure some of you have heard our Slip a Day campaign. If you have participated in that, we thank you very much. This year we raised a wonderful 8 million rand from our Slip a Day campaign. So that was a lot of stickers sold. We also run golf days, quiz nights, and then our Christmas gift wrapping campaign, which we raised about 180,000 rand. So you can do the maths, that's a lot of gifts that we wrap at Christmas time. So if you're not afraid of some paper cuts and you want to support us, you're more than welcome to come and wrap some gifts. We also receive donations through various corporates. So we are not, we're a non-government organization, and we do not get any aid or help from the government at all. All our funding comes straight through the generosity of South Africans, whether it's through the corporate or through our fundraising events. We've got some really wonderful corporates on board, and this is a testimony to God and just how gracious and wonderful He is. I've been working at the foundation for 7 years, and I've not asked for 1 cent. I've gone and I've spoken and I've met with lots of corporates and we've done lots of fundraisers, and at the end they've always said, well, what can we do for you? And they've provided. Last year at our golf day, I've been praying and I said to God, God, this is the target I want to reach. Because I always give God my targets in my head and I say, this is what I want to reach. And we were sitting at the golf day, I was running it up in Bloem, and my target was 250,000, and we had kind of finished the raffle, we had finished the auction, and we were only sitting on about 180,000, and I felt so defeated, and I was like, God, I asked, and this is what we needed, and this is what we need to make dreams come true. And there was just this sense of defeat, and next minute this guy came up to me and said, what's the target in your head for tonight? So I said to him, what do you mean? He says, well, you're sitting on 180,000. So I said, yes. He says, well, what did you want? So I said to him, 250,000. He goes, I'll write you a check for the balance. And for me, there was nothing to do with me. There was just God knowing what I needed, when I needed it, and what that money was going to do. And I walked out there and I was like, okay, God, we doubt. And sometimes I wish you don't have to do the 11th hour every time, the Lord, but sometimes He does that, and I'm thinking, it's not necessary. Like, just give me the money when I need it. But, He's been incredibly gracious. We have our own budget, so I run KZN, Free State, and the Northern Cape for the foundation, and we have our own budgets. And sometimes it takes the 30th of December for the Lord to bring in that last bit of money for me to reach my targets for what we need. So we, how people can get involved at the foundation, obviously sponsoring dreams. Like I said, 1,800 dreams at 5,000 rand. If you're a good mathematician, you know exactly what we need. They can sponsor dream rooms, so each dream room is 650,000 rand. Again, we've been incredibly blessed with people just sponsoring our rooms. And then people obviously can also sponsor our fundraising events. People can sponsor what we call in-kind. So we have a lot of people who give us in-kind, so whether that's hotel accommodation, it's the loan of their fast car, so so that we can do a Ferrari dream, whether it's time and volunteering. So Jenny sitting here this morning is one of our long-standing volunteers. She comes and she gives up her time and she gets to go and do the dreams with the kids, which is very exciting. If people want to give us admin, so if anybody's got excess petrol lying around and would love to donate it, that is like gold at the moment, you can just hook me up. That'd be great. So the reason why we look at those sorts of things is because as a foundation we pride ourselves on a 50-70 split. Most charities 50-50 or 60-40. So what that means is out of your donation, 70% goes to the benefactor and only 30% we use for our administrative costs. Like I said, I run 3 regions and I've got myself and 1 other paid staff member. Okay, so there's 2 people on the books for 3 regions. What we've been blessed with is we've partnered with Johnson & Johnson, who's given us interns, so they pay for our interns, so we've got staff. We rely heavily on our volunteers. We get all our office space rental free. So we work really hard to keep the admin costs down so that we can give all we have to the people that need it, and that's our children. So we pride ourselves on that as a foundation. Why partner with Reach for a Dream? Well, there's lots of reasons why. From a corporate perspective, you're getting your Section 18A, you're getting your tax, all of those benefits. You will receive your VE points. But I think one of the most important things is you get to see where your money goes. Okay, a lot of us, we give away to orphanages or we go and paint a school and then 2 days later that school's paint is peeling again. But here, you get to come on a dream. You get to see the smiles, you get to see the changed faces, you get to see the impact that a dream has on a child. Okay, like I said, there's a 70-30 split, so we're one of the very few charities that gives most of our money away and doesn't keep any for ourselves. Okay, we have an incredible board of directors with incredible experience. So the reason why Reach for a Dream survived during COVID was because our board was forward thinking. And our foundation can survive for 3 years without 1 cent coming in. Why? Because we've considered those implications and we've made sure we're taking care of what needs to be done. So we've got doctors and professors and lawyers, the CEO of Vitality Health, the CEO of Airlink on our board of directors. So very clever, forward-thinking business people. And what that means is we run like a business, but we're a charity. So it's very important. If you partner with us, you partner with the top NGO. So that's like a no-brainer, eh? We like the Springboks of the non-profit world, okay? So, yeah. You will receive exposure, and I think the most important thing is that you get to make dreams come true. You get to change the life of a child in need. And I don't say need because they have nothing. I say need because they have a desperate need for hope, a desperate need for something to happen to change the way they perceive things. Children are incredibly versatile, incredibly, our children inspire me more than I think I inspire them. The way that they respond, the way that they deal with their illness. Lots of times we'll go on a dream and the donor looks at me and says, "Are you sure this child's unwell?" And I'm like, yes, because we're the kind of people that if I've got a headache, I must stay in bed because it's an excuse for me to feel sorry for myself. But for our children, they will be up and running and laughing and chasing because they are children and they just know that, I don't know, they know something that we don't, that you've got to live for the moment because we don't know what tomorrow brings. And the power of what we do changes their world. So I did a dream for a little boy. For me, it was nothing special. But for him, it changed his world. And so he wanted to toy shop. So of course we took him to Toys R Us at Gateway because that's the biggest toy store in our area. And I gave him a wallet full of fake money. And I said to him, "You shop and I'll tell you where to stop." So we went through Toys R Us and he picked this and he picked this and we had a whole trolley full. And then we went for lunch so we went and had pizzas, and then we went to Fantabbles. So if you've got grandchildren, you've probably been to Fantabbles before. It's really loud, it's really noisy, it's not fun for an adult, but for a kid, it's like a kid's dreamland. And so he saw the bumper cars, and he's like, no. So the mom was like, she's not keen on the bumper cars, so I was like, no, I'll go. Well, we did that 17 times. I thought I had got that. I bumper cars so much. But his smile, I'll never forget his smile on the day. And so we did the dream, and he left, and he was happy, and I was happy. And about 6 months later, I was walking through the corridors of the hospital. I'd gone to see one of the doctors. And I'd walked past the ICU. And next one, I heard my name being called. And I turned around, and for a second, I was like, I don't know who that is. And then I recognized the mom. And she said, my son is in ICU, and he's seen you walk past. And he wants you to come see him. And so I walked back and got permission to go in. And I sat there on his bed. He hadn't sat up in 3 weeks, and he hadn't eaten in 2. And so when he saw me walk past, he immediately sat up because now he had recognized me walk past. And I sat on his bed and I said to him, okay, I'm only going to stay if we're going to eat something together. And so he said, no, we will. And so he sat and he ate something, and you know, he passed on a few weeks after that. But it was in that moment that I realized it's not me, it's what we did on that day that made this massive impact in this child's life, that when he saw me, that reaction of hope got him up and got him, I recognized that person. That person is fun. That person is hope. That person made something impossible become possible. And so he garnished enough strength to sit up and to engage with me and to have one more moment of, I don't know, fun and laughter. And it's in that moment I realized, I mean, obviously we've done lots of dreams, and there's many dreams. I could write a book on the dreams we've done for children. But it was in one of those moments that I realized that the impact that we have. And another dream that sticks so in my soul was, I hadn't been working at the foundation long, and we phoned this young boy who was about 16, and he said no, he wanted to go for lunch with his family to a fancy restaurant. And so he lived out in Klunkla. And so we got in the car and we drove, and we had spoken to one of the lodges out in the area, and we were going to pick him up from the hospital. And it's one of those hospitals that the lights flicker and you've got to pass the mortuary to get to the children's ward. It was like a scary movie kind of hospital. And we arrived, and this young boy had a tumor literally protruding from his face. And you could smell death on him. And so we pick him up, and I say to the doctor calls me aside and says, Kerry, his family's gone. They've abandoned him. We don't know where they are. And I was like, but his whole dream is for us to go to lunch with his family. And he's like, I don't know what to tell you. And so now I'm like, well, what am I going to do? So I phoned the lodge and I said, look, we're coming, but this is what's happened. We arrive, and he doesn't look good because he's got, like I said, he's got a tumor literally protruding from his face. He doesn't smell good. And as we arrived, the entire lodge and all their staff are lined up, welcoming him. And every single one from the lodge sat down and had lunch and said, we will be your family for today. And in that moment I realized, you know, sometimes they're family because they have none. He also passed on soon after that, and it broke my heart. But we sat and we had that lunch with the GM of the hotel, sitting with him going, I'll be your dad for the day. And the waiter going, well, I'll be your brother for the day. And we had this beautiful family lunch with strangers. And we gave this little boy what he wanted in that moment. Was it his family? No, it wasn't. Or was it just as good? Probably, because a group of strangers came out and said, we will be what you need us to be in this moment so that you can have a lasting memory, whatever that is. Some of our children do. We've had wonderful success stories. My sponsor of my Durban Golf Day is because we did a dream for her brother. I met a lady 2 weeks ago in Bloemfontein where she was telling me we did a dream for her son. He's now 23. So we have wonderful success stories of how people go on to conquer. We had a little girl where the doctor phoned us and said, do the dream now, she won't make it 3 days. We arrived in the hospital with the biggest unicorn we could find. And 2 days later we phoned the doctor and said, how's the dream? She says, oh, she's gone home, she's perfectly well. You know, and it's why? Because hope is a powerful tool. It is an incredibly powerful tool, and that's what we do. So the last thing I want to show you is a video of the lives that we change. And these children will speak for us. It's the lives we change and the impact we make. It should be the screen. I didn't need to speak because our kids do a pretty good job speaking for me. So I think what you can see just from that video is the difference we make. So a lot of corporates will ask me, well, how many kids do you feed? How many schools do you build? And I say none. But what I say is I change lives forever. Whether it's a day, a week, a month, or years, we change lives. And you can see on that video something as simple as a cell phone or racing against a car. It changes their world and changes their lives. And that's what Reach for a Dream has been doing for 34 years, and we will strive to keep doing that for years to come because the need is growing in South Africa. Children are getting sicker, a lot of children are making it, but what we can do is change whatever time they have on this earth, whether it's a week, weeks, months, or years. What we can do is give them an experience that will change their world and change their life. And what it also does is it creates positive impacts within the parents, within the nurses, and within the doctors. I think the doctors and the nurses get more excited than the children sometimes when they see us coming, because they know once we've been, the environment and the energy and the atmosphere of a ward is completely changed and transformed, because hope has come, joy has come, laughter has come in a place where it doesn't belong. And we say we're going to bring it, because when we do, it changes lives. So I want to thank you this morning for just allowing me to come and share what gets me up in the morning, and allowing me just to share our children's stories with you, and just to bring their stories into your lives. Thank you so much for having me this morning. I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much for opening our eyes and our hearts to the wonderful work that you do and the way that you touch so many lives. And you make such a huge difference in this world. Thank you very much. Thank you, Jim.
Thank you very much. It's very special to me to see how it fits in with what the message for today was about faith. That reaches for that which is not seen. That's dream. That takes what is real and says what is real is not all there is. There's more. And that's also takes action. Doesn't just have this airy-fairy dream that nothing gets done with, but does something for it, towards it. And lastly, our gospel reading, which wasn't read today, but our gospel reading says, build up treasures for yourself in heaven. I can just imagine getting to heaven one day and seeing all those faces again. That's our real treasure. our real treasures is the lives that we have made a difference in. So what are we doing to make a difference in people's lives? Especially those that we know. So yeah, thank you so much. Blessings on your word. Maybe let's just spend time before we close out with our closing song, just in prayer. Praying for the reason dream and others. Let's pray. Oh Lord our God, we want to give thanks to you that you are a God of hope. A God who does not leave the world in a mess, but speaks over the dry and dead bones. And as you speak, things come together. As you speak, life emerges out of there. Order emerges out of there. Thank you that you do not just do that for our lives, but that you do it for the lives of those who need it most. Thank you for it, for Dream Foundation. We pray, Lord, your blessing on them, so that they can continue to be the blessing that they have been and continue to be for so many. And even as they bless the children, as has been shared, countless others get blessed around. And so we would love the blessing of knowing that even we can make a difference. May we reach for a dream of making the world a better place. We pray this in Jesus' precious name.